Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hi, it's Rita here at the Hello, it's Rita here at the Travel Nurse Channel. Okay, I haven't done enough talking yet today, so it's Tuesday. I'm a few minutes late again. Usually here Pacific Standard Time from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And you can catch this live on Facebook right now and every Tuesday. And then you can catch it on Facebook and YouTube in the archives because we've been doing this for quite some time. We are here for travel nurses, for travel techs, for travel therapists, and all healthcare workers that travel. And when we say travel, we don't mean take a vacation. We mean travel on assignment to do your professional work. And that is a necessary and exciting field and growing, ever growing. And so we talk about it. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. We talk about the fun, the adventure. We talk about difficulties. And today is one of those topics I thought I was compelled to talk about because a lovely, lovely nurse that I actually know personally, have known her for quite some time. She worked when I had a smaller nursing agency. She worked for me and climbed the ladder in her professional capacity. She was, I think when she worked for me, she was an LVN, and then she got her RN and she moved around the States a little bit, and she was married to military and had a son, and she was a terrific lady, and all her capacities as LVN and RN and then specialty RN over the many years, she has been recently traveling and really having a good time. And what happened was I saw online that she posted something she was quite pleased about, and she also talked about her travel experiences as an ICU nurse. And then somebody lambasted her. Somebody probably not too courageous because they didn't use their name. They used a kind of a gimmicky name. And it was bullying and it was abusive. And I was happy to see that other components, other nurses more than likely on Facebook. She posted something on Facebook, and they were large and in charge about telling this other person how wrong they were and to stop and cease. So that inspired me to talk about today about abusive conduct in the workplace, in healthcare. It really has no place in healthcare. However, it is there. It is there. And I've seen it since, I'm like 100 years old. You can see my wisdom hairs are starting to show. I cut a lot of hair off, and so there's a lot of gray showing. And we'll see how gray or white it gets and what we do about that. So I saw it and experienced it from the time I was in nursing school, and then I've been a nurse for so many years. I've seen it. I've experienced it, and it is a safety issue. Like so many things that we talk about. Oh, let me get my comments open here. If anybody wants to chime in, your comments are very, very welcome. If you want to call 800-737-6518, we can bring you into the broadcast live while we're streaming. If you want to join another day and follow with another subject, you're very, very welcome. And we can do that today because I'm here till 11. So we have the better part of an hour right now to talk, and your input is really, really valuable. But so today's topic is about bullying. What is it? Is it real? I'm sorry to say it is. It makes me very sad. I posted on Facebook that I was feeling sad about it because I saw this, I saw it go on Facebook with somebody who was just really, really excited about the work they were doing. She's on her second or third travel assignment and as an ICU nurse, which she's been doing for, I think, the better part of a decade or something. And this is a seasoned nurse. This is a good nurse. This is a kind person. And it was really, really horrible. So that, I would say, was verbal abuse, even though it wasn't the written word on Facebook. And I'll give you some statistics here. I got some of this from the Joint Commission, and they have to say that a recent study, this is actually a few years back, but a study done on occupational safety by OSHA. They're the OSHA stands for OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It's a federal organization, and they evaluate hospitals. OSHA does, and the whole healthcare industry. You will see them. So things like slips and falls and hazardous matters and so forth. OSHA oversees all of that, and OSHA has this to say about workplace violence. They reported on workplace violence in healthcare highlights. The magnitude of the problem is 21% of registered nurses and nursing students were physically assaulted. 50% were verbally abused. That includes bullying. And they looked at that over a 12-month period. So 21% suffered physical abuse and 50% verbal, which includes bullying. 59% experienced verbal abuse within a week. So to go to work, to go to do the noble work that nurses do, whether it's in the home, in the classroom, in the long-term facilities, in the doctor's office, and out in public health areas, in the community, in hospitals, in acute settings, in ICUs and ERs and so forth, to consider that 59% of the people that are being verbally abused are experiencing that within a seven-day period means that one day when you go to work, it could happen to you. And doesn't mean the following week when you work that it won't. So we really have to talk about it. And why is my battery running low? I'm hooked up to sync here. Sync. Hang on, people. I need a battery. I mean, I need electricity. I am such. There, I think I have electricity. Ay, folks. I'm many things, but I'm not really a strong tech person. Hey, my friend Sue Simpson, she's a nursing professor, is showing me a website. I'll jot it down and share it with you. And it's from the National Institute of Health. So it's from another government resource on this issue. Thanks, Sue. Really appreciate it. Okay, so and then I think it must be Paul King. Somebody is commenting also, is it just part of the job and what can be done about it? And that's what we're going to talk about today. It certainly shouldn't be a part of the job, but it happens. Okay, I just recently was in a restaurant, not a fancy restaurant. So my friend Sue, Professor Sue, is saying an integrative review of nurse-to-nurse incivility, hostility, and workplace violence, a GPS for nurse leaders. Oh, thanks. Okay, so I will, I'm going to jot that down so you all can look it up and Why is this not showing? Okay. Get one of my trusty. Oh boy. Sorry, folks. All my whiteboards have not been erased. And that's my fault, but yeah, thank you, Sue. This article, I'm going to send you to the website, and Sue is saying that it's the article by NIH, National Institute of Health, addresses what we're talking about today. It's an integrative review of nurse-to-nurse incivility, and incivility, hostility, workplace violence, a GPS for nurse leaders. And all nurses should be aware of it. And unfortunately, many, many nurses have experienced it. So I am going to jot down this for everyone to see. And give me a second. If I go too fast, you might not be able to read it. So it's PUBMED .NC BI .NIH.gov / is a big old number here, 308 394 51 / and I'll hold it up right now and give you a chance to look at it. But imagine if you go to the NIH.gov website and put in review of nurse-to-nurse incivility, hostility, whatever, bullying, that would help as well. So here you go. Public Med, let me see, can you see that? https:// pubmed.ncbi.nih.gov / 308 394 51 and another /. So I'll hold that up a few times while we go through this subject, this torturous, miserable subject. And let's describe bullying a little bit. Verbal abuse, okay? You idiot, okay? In public, that's verbal abuse. My glasses. I need to get them adjusted. Threatening, intimidating, humiliating, and this can be nonverbal. It can be behaviors, like, oh, and eye rolling and intimidating, getting too close into people's purple circle, interference with other people's work, sabotaging their work. All of these things are recognized as bullying. And I think as I say these things, some of you who are students or who are travelers and are out there working understand what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to talk about violence because this is a form of violence. This is also a safety issue. So when somebody threatens you in your professional capacity, that is workplace violence. That is public humiliation. And so that could be something like, you have no place here. I'm going to report you to the head of administration, Are they your supervisor? Or are they just feeling threatened themselves? Why do people even do this? Another form is name calling, insults, teasing, incessant teasing. Oh, She always leaves that door open. Oh, she never gets blankets for her patient. Crazy stuff. Isolating you is another way. And travelers, this may be one that you've experienced, is the non-communication, the withholding information. You know what I had? This is my second day I'm having trouble with my IT. Do you guys know how to get in touch with them? And then you get blank. I mean, they've worked there for years. They probably work with the same IT group for years. I mean, maybe it's changed. Did I get it wrong? Did I get it wrong? I think I got something wrong in there. NCBI, I left something out. Okay. Hang on, we'll get this straight. We'll get this straight. Okay, this is the perfect article to share on the topic of bullying and abusive conduct. And so I have left a piece out, and thank you, Sue. It's NLM. NLM dot NIH. .gov. Okay, here we go again. Great, great resource for everyone. And let me repeat it and show it to you again. If you copied it down before, I left out NLM just before NIH. So now we've got it in there. It's https://PubMed, PUBMED.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov/numbers 308-394-51 and another /. And I'll show that again before we go off the air. And thanks, Sue. A little dyslexic there, getting all the letters and numbers in. Yeah. So we're talking about some of the categories that define types of violence in the workplace, and really focusing more on healthcare, because that's what we're all about. We're here for travel nurses, and this is a form of abuse, overwork. And I know so many of my colleagues are experiencing this now. There was sort of a waiver on ratios. That's one area. Sometimes travelers or visitors in a workplace are feeling like they're dumped on, and they may or may not be. Maybe everybody is dealing with these kinds of workloads. I think I have my electricity back. Good, good, good. And so that's, giving impossible deadlines. Maybe you've just come on duty and they say, we need all the labs, blah, blah, blah. In the next half hour, the docs are coming, and you haven't even finished getting report and looking in on your patients. So impossible deadlines and overworking are areas of abuse. And violence, I don't know if I would put that into violent, but I guess in how that delivery is determined. And then destabilization. And that's a situation where giving credit where credit is due. And, nobody needs pats on the back, but they're nice. And then if you've done something above and beyond, or if you've just done the right thing, and then people ignore it, or take credit for the patient's success for themselves. These are all intimidating, humiliating, disturbing issues that are happening in the workplace. And it's really a problem. What's the impact? Yeah. What's the impact? Do you get violent yourself? Do you get into a screaming match? No, no, that's not the answer. I think awareness is your first clue, is your first having an awareness that this happens, and making sure that you don't fall into this. And I've heard it so much from colleagues from my years as a clinical manager and as a director of a lot of nurses in a travel agency. A lot of the male nurses experienced it. And I heard this comment a lot. Why do nurses eat their young? Why do nurses, battle with each other? What a shame. So, what happens? What happens? It's frustrating, we're patient advocates, where, sometimes you will be working with people that don't have all the skills that they need or all the knowledge that they need. Sometimes you will work with people that are lazy, and but bullying isn't the answer. Bullying is not the answer. So yeah. The impacts on patient care, including underreporting of these safety issues, increases things such as harm, errors, infection, costs, and potentially poor outcomes. HCAHPS, we're all very much aware of the HCAHPS. It affects that, patient satisfaction. It contributes to burnout. It contributes to driving the talented and caring people out of the profession. It contributes to the patient's health and safety, as I said. And if we don't at least recognize it and try to reverse this issue, we are hurting our industry and hurting our patients. So, unpleasant as it is, it's very, very real. And so I encourage you to go to this wonderful resource that Professor Sue provided, pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov/308-394-51/. And great resource there. The article is called The article is an integrative review of nurse-to-nurse incivility, hostility, and workplace violence, a GPS for nurse leaders. And yes, and that is one of the solution, is to look to your leadership. Nobody can ever fix a problem if they don't know it exists. So if you are a traveler and you're working with another traveler who is rude, who is humiliating, who is lazy, who is verbally offensive, you have to report it. Because if you don't report it and your leadership doesn't know about it, nothing can be done about it. You become part of the problem. And I understand sometimes these verbal attacks, or even the nonverbal behavior, we talked about that. It could be attitude, it could be eye rolling, it could be harumphing, it could be getting in your personal space. So it doesn't always have to be verbal. It can be written. It can be in the form of inappropriate behavior, cursing. Could be threatening behavior. Maybe you think somebody's going to strike you or throw something at you, that they have such anger and animosity, and more than likely misdirected, their own stresses and so forth For some reason, you know, I think because healthcare people are there are some very, I don't know why I'm always like this. I feel so crooked. There are some very gentle and caring healthcare workers. They may seem like targets to people who are used to bullying. They may not even realize that they've developed this terrible habit. So very, very, very important to report any of these things that we've talked about. The verbal, the nonverbal, the threats, the aggressiveness. What did we talk about? Professional humiliation, teasing. You know, incessant teasing is not appropriate in the workplace. Where, you know, it's wonderful to smile and be pleasant, but you can't be a jokester for 12 hours. It's too many sick people, too much to attend to, too much to research, too much to physically do and mentally do. Isolation, for example, withholding information, withholding important data that a traveler, no matter how good they are, come into a new situation and have difficulty navigating. You know, could be a huge facility, could be a small facility, could be a long-term facility or an acute facility. And you have, my example is that you have, and I really am crooked. I'm a crooked girl. You have IT issues, or you have electrical issues and so forth, and you turn to a staff member and say, do you have a way to contact maintenance? Do you have a way to contact IT? And they withhold information for you. That is a form of bullying. And what else do we talk? Not giving credit where credit is due, giving you impossible deadlines, you know, maybe rushing you through an orientation and not giving you all the tools you need. Maybe they say, well, you can start today. We're going to get you your IT access by the end of the week, so you can just work with this other staff member. And that staff member starts with this kind of abusive, intolerant, unwilling to give information, harumphing and eye-rolling and harumphing. So those are some of my examples. And my first solution is, one, be aware. Be aware that it's not appropriate. It's not acceptable. It is considered workplace violence. Bullying is considered workplace violence. Falls into that category. And you need to report it. And hence, people like the Joint Commission and the National Institute of Health are recognizing it and coming up with solutions and providing things like this article. I will hold it up one more time because it's so valuable, sent to us by my good friend Sue, who is a professor of nursing students. How's that? Can you see it? Am I holding it too far? There we go. It's https://pubnlm.nih.gov/308-394-51/. I hope that helps. And I hope you can avoid some of this workplace violence. But some of the statistics tell us that in a 7-day period, any one of us could experience it in the workplace. Awful, awful statistic. Let's see. Oh, interesting. There's a study that was done. They don't say who did it. Oh, no. Boston, Massachusetts. A tertiary hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. In Boston, Massachusetts. I don't know. It's not that early for me, but let me freshen my mouth there. See if I can speak a little more clearly. They did a method to prevent, for novice nurses, something called cognitive rehearsal. So they taught these novice nurses about lateral violence, or some people call it horizontal violence, and they use these rehearsal techniques to shield them from the negative effects. You know, people that are behaving that way have a problem. You're not the worst nurse ever, even if you've made a mistake. When you own a mistake and reverse a mistake, you're doing the best you can. So I'll give you an example, something I did years ago on a teleunit. So they do this, that's interesting, I really like that. So anyway, by doing these rehearsals, that prepared them for if these bullying occurrences happened when they were actually working, because they've already gone through the steps. Well, this happened. This is what I wanted to do. This is how I thought I should react. But then I learned this is a better way to do it. So, so that lateral violence, that workplace bullying, was actually addressed, and they prepared for it by doing these cognitive rehearsal. I like that. I like that. See, these are the things you may learn from the article, and much, much more. Another thing, actually, if you're a traveler and you're coming into a situation and there's very little orientation and so forth, if you have a chance to meet with your leadership, could be your charge nurse, the supervisor, the house supervisor, you will sometimes get a brief orientation, or sometimes they do a, you know, the companies in between, between the travel company and the hospital or the facility where you're going to work, have another that's not the right word, downloading, but they have another company that provides a lot of this information. And they may provide it in the way of websites and handouts and printouts and so forth. Take some time and peruse it, because if they don't address this, you know, workplace violence, bullying, ethics, all of that, then you can bring it up to that company, you know, and the training. Just say, you know, I've been around for a while, and I know this is, you know, not a pleasant issue, but do you have any information on workplace violence and bullying? And I didn't see it in the access sites you gave us, and I didn't find it in the handouts, and I'm starting, you know, the job tomorrow, the next day, because sometimes these orientations are off-site. They may be on a Wednesday and you start your job on a Friday or a Monday. So there's some time in between to get your Q&A done. So yeah, you really need this information. So we talked about recognizing that bullying exists, turning to leadership, and I didn't mention this, but you want to avoid and reduce, with this knowledge, retaliation. And so you really have to have good information. And I think some people are thinking, well, I'm just going to ignore that, and it probably won't happen again. And that may not be the best way to go. Or you may fear, well, I'm new here. And I'll give you an example too. A nurse was telling me that she had gone to, I think it was a hospital, it might have been a long-term facility, but she had gone on a travel assignment and was not getting cooperation from her patient care assistant or her CNA, and she had an admit. She was very busy. I can't remember what kind of unit it was, and she asked for them to assist, and they said, no, you're a traveler, you can deal with it. So when she had a chance, she went to the nurse in charge and got the same response. Yeah, that's just the way it is for travelers. So is that the best? Is that the best? Is that the best for the patient? You know, the sooner you get patient information on an admit, the sooner you can start taking care of your patient. And team, there's no I in team. It's TEAM. And the team consists of the leadership, the nurses, the nurse aides, the all the corresponding staff, the therapists and the techs and the lab, and the x-ray department. All of that contribute to patient safety and good outcomes. So, so that's not acceptable. You do the best you can in the moment. But then, and then also probably because you're shorthanded, because you are not getting the help you need, because you're not getting, your leadership has let you down, you just make the best of it. And when you have a moment, you schedule time with your leader. Maybe she misunderstood you. Maybe you were a little hectic and kind of inconsolable, and maybe your communication wasn't its best. So when the water's calm, when you feel calm, when the job is done to the best of your ability, that's a time to address it. And if that particular immediate supervisor keeps that stance of being isolating you and not providing you with, you can also refer to your recruiter and tell them, I had this issue. I did chain of command. I had a problem with uncooperative and rude, and my patient care assistant was not doing their job. When I went to my charge person, they told me, deal with it, you're a traveler. Who do you think? Do you know anyone I can speak to about that? And your recruiter may know exactly who you can go to. She may know who the supervisor is, or the educator is, or the department head, and so forth. And so you should not fear retaliation. You should seek to resolve an issue as soon as possible, and not think, you know what, I've got the next 3 days off. I'm just not going to think about this. Problems don't go away, they fester. And so I wanted to point that out. And any questions or comments? Oh, we're plowing through this hour. And then there has to be policy and procedure for this too, because some of this, much of it, this is what makes it so humiliating, may be in the presence of patients or patient family members. So there should be policy and procedure to how to address that and how to respond to that. Could be something occurring in the middle of the shift, or during shift reports, which are more often than not done at the bedside. And then a family member who has plenty to think about with their sick family member and whatever issues they have might come to you and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how that night nurse was yelling and stomping and throwing her arms around, and we're just really concerned about you. You have to know what the policy is and just say, I'm so sorry you had to witness that. I can have my supervisor talk to you, but yeah, we do, this unfortunately occurs from time to time, but we do have, we are addressing it. We do have policy for this, and you shouldn't have to be too concerned about it, but I can have someone come and talk to you about it. And that could be a supervisor, an ombudsman or something, but be concerned and respond to your patients and their family if they witness any kind of bullying, also known as lateral horizontal workplace violence. Yeah, it's terrible stuff. Whoops, what happened to my camera? And then for the leadership, or even for the traveler, be aware that policy may include disciplinary actions and so forth. So none of us are perfect, and you may, as we talk about a subject like, start to think about your behavior and how it might affect. Oh, I wanted to tell you my own experience, and now it went out of my head. Oh boy, I can't remember. I thought I had something to model what some of that lateral violence and so forth looked like. Just totally went out of my head. See, that's why you have to address things right away. Oh my gosh. But yeah, there should be policy and procedure. There should be ways for you to deal with it, ways to address the concerns of patients and family members, and to avoid or reduce retaliation when something like this occurs. So there are lots of things to consider. I mentioned that the Joint Commission has lots of information about this. My friend Sue, I'll put up the website again, sent us this great resource from National Institute of Health, and the article is called "An Integrative Review of Nurse-to-Nurse Incivility, Hostility, and Workplace Violence, a GPS for nurse leaders." And here's how you can get to that. There's how you can get to it. You can go to it, https://pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov/308-39451, and a final / and get information. That's the first thing. Get information. Let your supervisors know. Talk to your recruiters. They have tons of information. They may know exactly who the problem solver is there. Many travel companies have managers, nursing managers for you, or if you're a respiratory therapist, or if you're a surgical tech or whatever, the nurse manager can help you and guide you. But other resources would be OSHA. They're all about safety. NIH is one. Joint Commission is another. Many blogs and data and things written about this. But for right now, for today, just be aware. Look at the self. I had something on the tip of my tongue to tell you, and I can't remember my own little experience. Well, I'll jump onto another one. This is very early in my career. I worked in a dialysis center. It was outpatient, and it was in New York, and it was one of the boroughs in Queens, heavily populated area, and they brought in lots and lots of new nurses to care for the patients on dialysis, and we dialyzed, I think, we had the 6:30, 7, 8, 9, 10, then we had 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, we had at least 3 shifts of patients, and I think we dialyzed something like 90 patients a day. So we had these aisles and rows. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 rows of patients, and we had a little bit of isolation area, and then we had 1 or 2 rows actually that we called the banana rows, because all those patients were hepatitis positive. We all wore yellow isolation gowns in those aisles. Anyway, so it was a very busy place, to say the least, and a lot of nurses, some technicians. We had 3 doctors on staff, and usually 2 were present. And we had this broad spectrum of population, from well-to-do doctors to people just barely making a living, and from young to old. So it was a huge dialysis center, and they brought in all these nurses, some of them from my school, some of them I actually knew about 3 other nurses and then got to know, of course, other nurses as they worked there. And once we got our training, we started, we were all licensed RNs at this time, and we started learning about our individual patients and about our individual dialyzers. We didn't use a lot of different dialyzers. This was back, oh my gosh, 100 years ago in the late 70s, 1977 or 78, I started that job. And so when I started, I must have started with about a dozen newer nurses. And most of them were very new. Some of them were like coming off maternity leave, but they were training this dozen of us at the same time. And they were phasing out more techs and bringing in more RNs. And what they did with us, once we, you know, had a couple of months under our belts and we became familiar with the different fistulas and accesses and patients and so forth, and this crazy, the term was turnover, where many, many patients were coming off the dialysis machines, we're scrubbing them down and resetting up dialyzers, and patients were going on. So it was like a hub, and it happened at least 3 times a day, this turnover time. And they would put one of us nurses in charge. So usually there were 2 or 3 nurses per 2 aisles, right? So we had 6 aisles of patients, or banana aisle, and 2 other aisles. And we had patients that were blind, patients that were young, patients that were old, patients that were stable, patients that were not stable. So it was quite an experience for a new nurse. And this one nurse who couldn't have been prettier, I remember her very, very well. She had this beautiful, shiny page boy haircut, and she had about as much experience as me, and she was in charge of my aisle. And or maybe I'm confusing her with this. I'm not exactly sure who it was. That's the first nurse that comes into my mind. But we were working in the banana aisle. So we had probably 12 or more patients, some coming off the machine, some coming on. You know, it was one of those turnover times. And she was marching up and down the aisle, barking out commands and asking for us to go faster. And so, you know, the techs were, you know, doing the breakdown of machines and helping clean the machines. I was bringing in the patients, doing my initial assessment. You know, we had to speak in moderate tones and keep our patients calm and get the information we need. And then we had to put gigantic needles into their axes. And this nurse was huffing and puffing and shouting and barking. And at one point, I turned and I said, let's just call her Lucy. Lucy, you need to calm down. We're going to get the job done. Hi, Gollum. What about you, Travel Nurse Channel? What about me? Have I been bullied? Yeah, this is my little example. I had another one, but it's, you know, I had a senior moment. It was gone as fast as it came. But yeah, this was a colleague who was just bright and smart and pretty and kind of a newbie like myself. But she just, you know, she took her role of being in charge, and I don't know if she panicked, but she just was not appropriate. She was not appropriate to the nurses she was working with. I was one. I don't know if there was another. It might have been 2. It might have been 3 nurses per dozen patients, and then 1 tech or 2, and you know, a dozen patients coming off machines, and a dozen patients going on. And the atmosphere should have been efficient and cooperative. And she was very, very excited, and so I was just trying to do my job. And I, you know, she said, we need to do this, we don't get faster, whatever she was going on and on about. It was not appropriate. It was a little bit of that lateral violence and humiliation, and I did retaliate, but I think I really did it for the benefit of all. And I'm not even sure exactly what I said, but I'm going to use her name as Lucy and go, Lucy, calm down. everything's going to be all right. Anyway. And I remember one or two of the patients like, yay, they were happy because she just was a little bit out of control. And so I'm not sure this was anybody that would ever think they were bullying or ever did it again, but I do recall it, and that's all I can share with you because I can't remember the other thing I was going to share. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know this isn't everybody's favorite subject, but abusive conduct is not recommended in the workplace, but sad to say it occurs, and that there are various forms of it and ways to deal with it. And my friend, Professor Sue, I don't know if she wants me to call her that. That is part of her name. She gave us this wonderful resource, wonderful article about an integrative review of nurse-to-nurse incivility, hostility, and workplace violence, a GPS for nurse leaders. And this is how you can view that. pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov/308-39451/. And you can go to that, check that article out. I know I will. I haven't yet. You can go to the Joint Commission. They have many, many workplace safety recommendations. You can go to OSHA. They address workplace violence and bullying. You can go to OSHA. Who else? Most of the nursing journals and many, many blogs address this. It's an important issue, and try not to be a bully, and try to resolve your bullying issues using policy and procedures and the leadership that's available to you. And for travelers, that may include your recruiter. Most companies do have clinical managers and have worked with their clients for a long time, so they know some of the resources that will help you, whether you're a nurse or a therapist or a tech. It can happen in, we're human. It happens. Okay, great to see you on a Tuesday. Just know that the Travel Nurse channel is here. It's a home away from home for travelers. It is live on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 Pacific Standard Time, and it is archived. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook, and call me anytime. I'd love for you to join me and stream with me and share your stories with others. It could be a nurse, a therapist, a tech, a recruiter, a travel company. We're here for all, and some of our sponsors have wonderful things to offer you. Travel assignments being one of them, but also I think we have a sponsor that has housing for travelers, so some great deals there. Check us out. Gollum, thanks for checking in. Sue, thank you for checking in, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. I'm going to give you our little commercial as we go out. Our other commercial, I'll try it next time. It's just a countdown. It's like New Year's without the fireworks, but this one's cute. Enjoy. Take care.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.